It's possible to detect as yet undiscovered geoglyphs in the Amazon. And even while we were there working with them, just over a period of a few days, they discovered more geoglyphs. Within hundreds of meters of ones that have been exposed, where you come to the edge of the rainforest, you go over the edge of the rainforest into the rainforest itself, look down with lidar, and you're finding hundreds more of these incredible structures.
The geoglyphs that we see in South America now that are being uncovered by the clearing of the rainforest. Yeah. And so it's almost like these little ditches that you see.
Well, not little.
Not little, right?
They're the depth of a man of full height standing.
Okay.
And they're hundreds of meters across and hundreds of meters in both directions. These are huge things.
Yeah.
What they are, they're earthworks. And this is because in large parts of the Amazon, you are not going to find any stone that you can make megaliths with. But there's a very interesting parallel, particularly if you look at the circular versions of these, with like that one, for example, which are called henges in Europe. I mean, everybody's heard of Stonehenge. Well, the stones are what everybody sees, the upright standing stones. But the henge is the earthwork. Okay. One of the big ones near where I live in the southwest of England is called Avebury. And it's got this just huge henge earthwork, circular in form.
I talked to Ralph Ellis about it. Phenomenal.
It's a phenomenal place.
Yeah.
Essentially, the earthwork is very similar to what we're seeing in South America. And again, I know because the eye of Sauron is constantly upon me, I know I need to make this clear right now. I am not saying that the idea of creating geometrical earthworks came to South America from Europe. And I'm not saying that it came to Europe from South America. I'm saying that both places shared a legacy from an earlier lost civilization. And that legacy involves the creation of massive geometrical earthworks. And where stone is available, the placing within those earthworks of gigantic megaliths, standing stones. There is one case, Rego Grande, in the northern part of Brazil, where an earthwork does actually have standing stones, and it is referred to as the Stonehenge of the Amazon, actually. But in most cases, they didn't have the natural stone to work with, but they did create the henges. And then when you look at the henges, you find that they're very geometrical, and particularly the rectangular and square ones are extremely precise. So they tell us a number of things. They tell us that whoever made these things were excellent geometers, that they were able to envisage this huge thing on the ground that they were creating, which really can only be seen properly from the air. That's why you only see proper photographs of these as aerial photographs, because you can't really make out what you're dealing with on the ground.
And they're making them in the jungle?
Well, this is a question. Yeah. Had they cleared part of the jungle at that point? Almost certainly they did at that point to make the earthworks. And of course, the story of the Amazon rainforest itself is a complicated story. I'm of the view, which is increasingly shared by many archaeologists, that the Amazon is largely a man-made garden.
Right.
That human beings created the Amazon. Right. It probably wasn't a huge rainforest in the depths of the Ice Age, maybe more like an open savanna. But as climate changed and it became the sort of environment that could host a rainforest, the trees began to grow there. And then human beings began to select particular trees, which provided food. The Brazil nut tree is the best example. And then we find that actually those food-producing trees, although they may constitute only 1% of the species in the Amazon, actually contribute 50% of the trees that are growing in the Amazon. There are many other species as well that aren't useful to humans that are growing in the Amazon, but these ones, the ones that are what they call hyperdominant, are all food-producing trees that are useful to humans. So that speaks to humans manipulating and managing this environment.
Over thousands of years.
Right. And during that time, creating structures that until very recently nobody believed that Amazonian peoples were capable of producing. And the fascinating thing now that we have this great technology called lidar, which can show you structures on the ground beneath the canopy of the Amazon rainforest without damaging the canopy at all, can see right through the canopy and can see the standout features on the ground. Now that that's been discovered, and again we go into this with the team who are working in Acre State in Brazil, it's possible to detect as yet undiscovered geoglyphs in the Amazon. And even while we were there working with them, just over a period of a few days, they discovered more geoglyphs. Within hundreds of meters of ones that have been exposed, where you come to the edge of the rainforest, you go over the edge of the rainforest into the rainforest itself, look down with lidar, and you're finding hundreds more of these incredible structures. And Marty and Alceu are of the view that the Amazon probably contains tens of thousands of these things, and in Acre State alone there may be several thousand of them. So and this is again a work in progress. This is something that's just starting. Once the investigation goes further, we now know that there really are intriguing mysteries of the human past in the Amazon, and I would love to see a full-scale lidar survey of the whole Amazon.
Yeah.
Where lidar has been done, it's revealed the geoglyphs, it's revealed the presence of cities. Much more needs to be done before we can say we've closed the books on the story we tell about the past.
Right. So take me back to whatever 15,000 years ago during the Ice Age, and this would have been cleared out. Potentially, the trees would have not been there yet, and so you're talking about like a savanna, like a plain,
more like a savanna.
Savanna,
yeah.
And so what would have and they're creating these in addition to the geoglyphs, they're creating roads to connect to and so
perfectly straight, running for 100 kilometers at a time.
I didn't realize hunter-gatherers created roads.
Well, that's right, and this is one of the points that Marty makes in our series, is that if you're a hunter-forager, a hunter-gatherer population, you don't need roads. You might be able to make them, but you don't really need them because they're not relevant to your lifestyle. But if you have a much larger population of settled peoples, then roads become useful, and it's the presence of these long roads connecting cities and connecting these earthworks too that is very puzzling. So I think we're looking at a new epoch of exploration in the Amazon. There's always been suspicion that the Amazon held something special.
Right.
But anybody who voiced that suspicion was treated as a member of the lunatic fringe.
Of course.
Well, now lidar is proving that's not lunatic fringe at all.
Right.
The Amazon is the heart of a gigantic mystery. And if we really want to know about our past, it's one of the places on the planet that we need to investigate much more thoroughly than we have done so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the other interesting thing about it is the terra preta, the soil that we find in those areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in general, what I would refer to as Amazonian science, again, emerging out of shamanism, and we pay special attention to this. Terra preta is a man-made soil. By and large, rainforest soils are not particularly fertile. That's one of the reasons why it's foolish to build farms on rainforest soils, because such fertility as they have is maintained by the forest itself, by the constant fall of leaves, refreshing the ground underneath. But it's not great land for agriculture. Human beings solved that problem in the Amazon thousands of years ago. The earliest example that's so far been found is about 7,000 or 8,000 years old. But I'm saying so far been found quite deliberately, because hardly any of the Amazon has really been looked at properly at all.
So you're saying when we dig down, we can see that the terra preta goes down to 7,000 to 8,000 years ago?
Yes, that's the oldest example so far recognized by archaeology. I believe they're going to find much older examples. And this is a man-made soil, which almost miraculously rebuilds its own fertility. It's full of bacteria, and it has remained fertile. Even those 7,000 or 8,000 year old bits of it are still fertile today. And settlers in the Amazon, if they're not going to slash and burn the forest, and they're looking for a place to plant within the forest itself, they seek out these patches of terra preta. So it's in my mind, a highly scientific endeavor to have created this self-regenerating soil